Stay tuned and let's check out this new collectible line of Netflix's Stranger Things from Jazwares. Pow and welcome back to the channel, Dan Who Reviews. As always, my name is Dan W. Make sure you are following me on Instagram at It's Dan Who, and remember now you can hit that join button and become a channel member as well. Either show some love or join the members club. Much appreciated. Today something a little bit different, but something I was very curious to check out for myself, so I thought why not do a video. So in front of us today we have a brand new line of collectible action figures from Jazwares for Netflix's Stranger Things. Now, Stranger Things is genuinely my favourite Netflix original programme. I've really liked it since season 1, and obviously I'm excited about the 5th and final season that lands in November. And this line in front of us is a representation of that final season. So we have Wave 1 in its entirety here with Dustin, the Demogorgon, and 11. No news yet whether we're going to get a Wave 2 or 3 and obviously round out the team, but we do get an image here of the rest of the team, so hopefully so. But obviously I love action figures, and I will always take a 1/12 scale toy line of a franchise or brand that I love. So I'm very curious to check these out, as they are 1/12 scale, they have articulation, they have accessories, and they even have soft goods. You can't see them, but they're at the back of the packaging there as well. So this line has some potential for a nice little fun action figure line for Stranger Things, especially with that new season on the way. So let's open these one by one. Let's check them out, see what we've got here. Obviously, I'm going to start with the Demogorgon, so I'll move these two out the way. He looks very nice in the packaging. The style reminds me of the AEW line from Jazwares as well. It has the sort of Stranger Things motif with the black and the red, with a nice little red foil for Stranger Things up top. The Demogorgon down here, the picture of the team on the side, and then the other two figures in Wave 1 with Dustin and 11 on the back. But again, no other information. But yeah, these look fun. Let's get them open. Here we have the Demogorgon out of the packaging with everything included, which is a base and then an interchangeable head as well, so we can have like the closed head, which we've seen throughout the seasons of Stranger Things. And do you know what? First impressions, this isn't too bad at all. First things first, he is completely pinless, and you know me, I'm a pin snob these days. He's got a nice range of articulation. It's got some nice sculpting. A little bit lackluster with the paint, but they have attempted to put a little bit of detail on there. But for a 1999 collectible, not bad at all. It looks like what it's supposed to. So let's see how it scales up. I'll move these out the way. Let me get the tape measure out. Now again, I'm not coming at these hypercritical, all right? Like, this is just a fun, cheaper line of action figures to represent Stranger Things. And the Demogorgon is just over 7 inches in height. So yeah, he looks decent. Let's zoom in. Here's a closer look at the first head sculpt then, which is a much more recognisable look for the Demogorgon. It's very flower-like, isn't it, with these petals opened out. I don't really know how else to explain it. There's a lot of mystery around the Demogorgons and the Upside Down in general. We know they got their name as the kids love Dungeons and Dragons, but yeah, these are just monsters as such. So yeah, there's no points of articulation on any of the petals. There's a bit of red paint in there, a little bit of spattering as grey, but it absolutely looks like what it's supposed to. On the back, you can see it's a much more lighter grey, and you'll notice there is a hinge, as it is on a disc and hinge, on a ball peg and then a disc and hinge. If I pop the head off, you can see there is a bit of neck articulation as well. So there's a dumbbell at the neck with a little bit of movement, and then a disc and hinge as well. So obviously this head is a big flower, so there's a little bit of restriction looking down. Looking up though, absolutely no problem at all, and of course swivel as well. So do you know what? Not bad articulation on the head at all. So that's your first option. We also have the closed head, which is just as creepy in its own unique way. And again, there is some texture to the sculpt as well, with a little bit of pinkish purplish paint on the back there where it meets the neck. But otherwise, because the petals ain't out, this one has a much better use of the range of articulation. So you get some creepy tilt, looking up and down, etc. So you have your options. You can either keep this creepy closed mouth, or you can have the open out flared expression, which is probably the one you're going to go for. And if you plan on army building these, then it definitely gives you a couple of display options and encourages you to buy a few more. So yeah, that's a pretty nice idea. And also, look at the detail on this guy. There is a lot of sculpted detail, and they've added a wash to try and bring out some of that sculpt. You've even got like creepy bone-like toenails. You've got creepy bone-like fingernails as well. But Not bad at all, and a really nice range of articulation. So it's like they've molded this in that lighter grey. They've added this sort of dark grey wash to bring out some of that sculpt and texture. And then there's elements of pinkish purple just throughout as well. Again, do you know what? For the price point, it's not bad. They didn't cheap out on the back. The same detail on the front is on the back as well, which we appreciate. Again, some nice sculpt there. And yeah, the articulation range is decent as well. So the arms will go up to 90. There's a bicep swivel, but the bicep's much higher up at the shoulder, of course. And then the arms are double jointed. Like, look at them. They will go way past 90. And then the creepy hands also have a hinge on as well. So you can definitely get some creepy poses out of it. And then the double ball joint here as well. So you get a ball joint at the top of the diaphragm and a ball joint at the waist. So just holding the waist there, you can swivel that. Loads of articulation there for the swivel. And then back and forth ain't bad at all, is it? Look at that. Like, utilising both the waist and crunch, you can literally get him facing all the way down. Not bad at all. And then limbo in back as well. Looking at the shoulders there, you'll notice that there is a butterfly joint. Look at that. Butterfly joint for the arms. So again, you can get his arms forward. Creepy chasing poses. Yeah, very nice. The legs have a bit of gap as well at the top. Like, there is an element of sculpt work as well to allow you to lift those legs up as well. If I zoom out, move the arms to the side. So the legs like will go up that far. And this bit, even though it's higher for a knee, it is double jointed. Like, look at that. You can bend the knee. And then there's that shin articulation as well right there. So you can bend that. And then you've even got another hinge there for the creepy bony toes with pivot and a rocker. Like, so, yeah, like you can crunch this guy in some really, really creepy demon-like poses for sure. And it moves really well. So it's completely pinless. Some nice texture. A little bit of paint. Nice articulation. Really like this. And let's not forget, he also comes with a stand. So I haven't had any issues standing him so far. But in case you were concerned due to that demon-like anatomy, we've got a nice stand with a peg. So again, some nice sculpt on there, sort of black and grey elements. Does the job. And then underneath, you do get one hole for the peg. Let's make it work. And there you go. No problem at all. He will stand on the stand, nice and sturdy. And also, because he's got the peg plugged in there and you can articulate the shins a little bit higher, you can actually make him taller, which was one of my criticisms. I thought maybe he's a little bit underscaled. But if we bring the tape measure out, including the stand, obviously, it now sort of takes him to over 8 inches. So we've added a whole inch just by bending the shin articulation and putting the stand on top, which will look a little bit more intimidating when posed up with some of the kids, which is the perfect segue to check them out. First up, let's go for 11. So we get a profile picture on the front, and you can see a few of her accessories in the packaging, including an interchangeable screaming head, but there's also a soft good jacket back there as well. There's a picture of the side, and again on the back of the box, the other figures in the wave. So again, packaging is nice. But let's get her open. And here we have 11 out of the packaging with those accessories on the table. We get the soft goods jacket I was mentioning. We get a backpack, a torch, and then an interchangeable screaming head. I am disappointed to see no interchangeable sets of hands, as we're not even going to be able to get her to do the pose that she's doing on the front of the packaging. And that's quite an iconic look for 11. She's been doing that since season 1. So yeah, no interchangeable hands is my first disappointment. But let me move all this out of the way, as unfortunately, the disappointment doesn't stop there, as I just don't think this is the collector quality I was hoping for from a Stranger Things line. Now, again, I'm trying to not be too critical, as it's a £20 Jazwares toy, but the likeness is very soft. There's not too much detail. The proportions are a little bit off. So yeah, when compared to the Demogorgon, who was pretty good, this is definitely a disappointment. Let's check her out. Like I mentioned, the likeness just isn't there at all. It is just very, very vague. And it's a shame when we know what is capable now in the action figure game with the digital face printing tech. They could have absolutely done a better application here. But yeah, it is just very, very generic. Maybe from some angles you get a better likeness to Millie Bobby Brown. But it's just very soft, isn't it? Let's be honest. So yeah, it's all painted on the face. The hair is tied up in like a bun on the back, and it is on a ball peg, and she does have a peg at the neck as well. So there is lots of motion there, and you can get some tilt and looking down, looking up. So there's no issues with the articulation. But yeah, the likeness just isn't all there. But of course, we can take her face off. And then we get an interchangeable faceplate. which I hope is easy to plug in. There you go, I've done it eventually. That wasn't as easy as I hoped. You sort of really had to squeeze it on there. But there we have her angry expression, which looks even less like Millie Bobby Brown than the previous head sculpt did. So yeah, it's nice to have options, but again, it's just not the one, is it? So there you go. There's your two options, sort of neutral or screaming expression. But again, you don't get any interchangeable hands to sort of match up with that expression. So let's keep the screaming head on there, as that is a representation of how I feel after spending money on this. Anyway, what's she wearing? So she's got a grey t-shirt with a white t-shirt underneath, and just like the Demogorgon, she has a double ball joint, one at the waist and one at the torso. So that's where you're going to get your swivel and also a decent amount of forward and back on there as well. As I mentioned, the neck has a lot of articulation in it as well. There's a lot of gappage down at the legs, but it is a drop down hip. Look at that, drop down, so the legs will go really far up, and then a double jointed knee. She can kick her lower back, but then there's a lot of gappage there, so you have to sort of really squeeze that in to give the double jointed knee. And then she does have ankle pivot and rocker with a hinge on the shoe as well. So the articulation ain't crazy. The arms will go up to 90. There's like a high bicep swivel at the shoulder, and then only a single jointed elbow with a hinge in both of the C gripped hands. So standard articulation, to be fair. It's just that the sculpt doesn't really have too much detail in. There is a few wrinkles and whatnot on the clothes. It's like a soft rubber to touch. It feels like a soft rubber overlay. She's got like that handkerchief around the neck, on the back there. Again, it's just the gaps. And look at that. They've actually sculpted on the nonsense, like, copyright information. It's sculpted on there. Absolutely crazy. So, yeah, again, it's nothing crazy, nothing amazing, but that's what we've got to deal with. What did she come with? So she can awkwardly hold her torch. So I guess you call it a flashlight in America, but we call it a torch. So she can grip it in both hands. But again, you can't really, I don't know, because there's only a side-to-side hinge, you can't really hold her arm up, and then she's like, yeah, again, it's just awkward. And then she's got the backpack, which was easy enough to put over the shoulders, soft plastic. So, again, like, it's not terrible. Again, if you know what you're getting yourself in for, just a fun little toy for Stranger Things. I just wish there was a bit more detail, a bit more grittiness to it, as there's no real paint detail. Everything's just sort of sculpted in that plastic, and it's just very, very bland. Do you know what I mean? Very soft, very flat. Yeah, but she does have soft goods. Let's try that. And here we have the hoodie on. So I've also put the backpack over it again. She's still holding her torch. And look, she actually has drawstrings on the hoodie. So we should be able to grab them and pull them tighter if my fat thumbs will do it. There you go. There you go. It reminds me of Kenny from South Park. So yeah, working drawstrings, but no like Velcro or clip or anything for the jacket. So that will always stay open. And then, of course, you can put the hood down as well. You can put a hairband over it so it tucks under. Again, it's just a fun little toy, but not the collector quality I wanted. Again, I would have liked some interchangeable hands. I would have liked the likeness to be a lot better. Again, a bit more detail on the actual figure itself. It is what it is. Quick little bonus. I just noticed that the bag is actually workable. Like, you can literally open the bag and put her, like, stupid little torch in there. So it's a working backpack, essentially. So there you go. You can put the torch in so you don't lose that to the carpet monster. You can clip the bag back closed. Come on, my fat fingers. There we go. So yeah, a working backpack. Next up we have Dustin. He definitely appears a little bit more grown up on the promo image on the side there. He comes with similar accessories. We'll check them out. Again, another soft goods jacket right at the back of the packaging. And then the other two figures in this wave. Let's get them open. Here we have Dustin with all those mentioned accessories. We've got the interchangeable faceplate, another backpack, another torch, and then it seems like maybe a folded up map of some sort. I quite like the look of his jacket though. I'm curious if that will work with other 1/12 scale figures. But yeah, let me move all that out of the way. Again, not expecting too much out of this. Very similar to 11. The proportions are a little bit wonky and the likeness is very soft and there's just not a lot of texture and detail. It's very flat. Let's zoom in. Taking a closer look at Dustin then, very similar to 11. The likeness is vaguely there. It is very soft, not as much detail as I would like, but Dustin does have some unique characteristics. You can sort of see his cheeky smile in there. He's also got a sculpted hat and that long hair going down his back. And again, from some angles, it's better than others. But again, it's just very, very vague. Again, the head has got a double dumbbell for the head articulation. So again, you can get him looking all the way down. Looking up not so much because the hair obviously gets in the way, but you still get your swivel and tilt, of course. But there you go. There's a look at his hair and his sculpted hat. And then we do get an interchangeable faceplate. So let's try and do that here. Sort of go under the chin, I suppose. There you go. Pull that off. That's what that looks like. And then his second face sculpt isn't crazily different in expression. It's sort of just not as smiling, a bit more stern, a bit more serious maybe confused. So yeah, I'll throw up a side by side and you can see for yourself. Not a crazy difference between the two. I think one is just more smiling than the other. Looking at the rest of Dustin then, he is wearing that same t-shirt that he wore during the 4th season with the Hellfire Club in tribute to Eddie, I have no doubts. So the pattern looks pretty nice, but as soon as you start articulating it, you will see the big gap in the middle. So they didn't continue that paint through the ball joint up top. So you do get your swivel up top, which breaks the pattern, and then you can see a big gap at the sort of waist, as that's where you're going to get your tilt and like wiggle. But again, it just looks odd, doesn't it? Proportionally, aesthetically doesn't look great, as you can see the gap at the waist there. On the back, there's nothing down the trousers. He does have double jointed knees though, and then regular shoes. So let's look at the arms. So the arms will go up to 90. Again, a high bicep swivel, and then a double jointed elbow, unlike 11. So he does have the double joint, and then 2 C-grip hands once again to hold those accessories with a side-to-side hinge in them. Again, we've seen the waist. Again, you don't really want to move the top because it's going to mess up the nice Hellfire Club decal. So use the waist. That's where you're going to get all your swivel and back and forth, etc. The legs will go up, not quite to 90. Again, you have the stupid sculpted sort of copyright stuff. But then the double jointed knees, again, look at that, drop down hips, pretty deep to be fair. And then you get the double jointed knees, but he's got thicker legs. So it doesn't quite, well, he sort of can if you push it. There you go, he can kick his own lower back. Then he does have ankle pivot and rocker with the hinge on the feet as well. So yeah, articulation sort of absolutely fine. It's just aesthetically and proportionally, he looks a little bit odd. In regards to accessories, he comes with a very similar flashlight, just in a different colour, the same as 11. Awkwardly holds it though, because again, I guess you could sort of maybe do that a little bit. Then you've got the map, I can only assume is a map, all folded up like a square piece of plastic, but there is only decal and lines on one side. From the back, there is absolutely nothing. So I guess you could get him holding it up to his face, reading it. So the double jointed elbows do help with that. And then he has a different backpack, which is a little bit bigger than 11's. And just like 11's, it will pop open and you can like store the accessories in there, which is a very nice touch. And it will close back up as well. There you go. So yeah, not bad, but let's check out this jacket. And here we have Dustin with the jacket. And do you know what? It doesn't look too bad at all. I don't know if the jacket sort of adds some more dimensions or makes it look like it has more detail. But that doesn't look too bad, does it, for £20? So yeah, let's zoom in. Let's have a look, shall we? So you can see the stitching on the jacket going all the way down. You've got some buttons that are like painted. They're not painted, but you know what I mean. They're imposed on there, I suppose. Same with the pockets. They're not real pockets. It's just sort of painted on there and printed on there. Printed on there is probably the right word, isn't it? But yeah, the jacket fits in pretty snugly, to be fair. It doesn't sort of look too big and oversized. Again, you can sort of fold it out a little bit, flare it out so you can see the Fire Club logo. He's got the collar rather than a hoodie like 11 did. Yeah, it doesn't look too bad at all, does it? And he can still articulate holding his accessories while the jacket's on. Not bad at all. So there you go. There's Dustin. And here we have Dustin and 11 side by side, so we can have a look at the scale. And it seems like 11 is just a tiny bit taller than Dustin, which I'm not too sure how accurate that is when compared to the show. I know that obviously they're still meant to be young and females go through puberty first, so maybe she should be taller. I don't know. But yeah, they're about the same size, but it does seem like proportionately 11's head is bigger, even without that head of hair and a hat. I don't know, just a little bit odd. Let me get the tape measure out so we can see that they're both 6 inches. Both of them sort of 6 inches or a tiny, tiny smidge above. But there we go. So technically 6-inch action figures for Stranger Things. I know that McFarlane did some 7-inch versions that were like wonky articulation but decent sculpts from season 1. I know Playmates have done some versions that were paired up with some of the turtles. But if you had told me there was a 6-inch line of collectible action figures from Stranger Things, I'd be all in. But this is it. So are we all in? You let me know in the comments. And here we have the kids next to the Demogorgon, and like I mentioned, my issue with him was mainly the scale. Now, posing him on his own, it's not so obvious, but when you pose him next to the kids here, he definitely looks a little bit too small. He should be a bit more taller and imposing than the kids, but I suppose they were limited to what size they could actually fit in that box. So he doesn't look bad by any means, and again, if you get a couple of these and you pose them up all gangly, monster-like, they're still going to look really good on the shelf. And the soft goods on the 2 kids as well definitely add an element to them. I'm not too sure what it is, but it adds an element of quality, makes them look a little bit better than what they are, if that makes any type of sense. Again, I'm not trying to be hypercritical of these, as they're £20 each. They've got soft goods, accessories, they're pinless, they articulate. It's just the likenesses are a little bit too soft for me. I definitely would have preferred a better likenesses considering the type of tech that's available now to action figures. But Jazwares are not really known for that. But this is still a fun little line, and if they complete the team, I think I'll get them. And like I said originally, if you add the Demogorgon to his stand, it does sort of give him a little bit extra height as well for the kids. But again, the kids don't come with a stand or anything like that. So there you go. They don't look bad. Now, if you're watching this and you're a collector, then you know what it's like. Sometimes when you like a show or a movie or a franchise or whatever it is, and there are toys and action figures that can physically represent that, you can't help yourself and buy them. And that's exactly what I did with the McFarlane Stranger Things figures. They weren't amazing, but they were what were available to celebrate the show that I enjoyed. So here we have 11 and Hopper. I do have the rest, but I've never opened them. So these are the ones that I've got loose, and I wanted to see how they compare. So let me move the Demogorgon out of the way, but you can see sort of next to Hopper there that, yeah, he's definitely underscaled next to the McFarlane Hopper. But let me bring Hopper in with the kids. Now, he doesn't really wear his uniform much these days, but he definitely looks more like an adult compared to the kids with these figures for sure. And if I bring in 11, who's on a stand, obviously, because she's a bit wonky, you can see that she's about the same scale as these Jazwares figures. So, again, aesthetically, they are completely different. As McFarlane is all about the sculpt and the paint and stuff, it's just the articulation isn't amazing. Where these are definitely more playable, a little bit more fun, I think, than the McFarlanes. But the McFarlanes have their place for sure. And again, they represent the first season, where the Jazwares represent the last. But thought you might want to see. For a Netflix comparison, here we have 2 of the guards from Squid Games. These are the SH Figure Arts version, so they scale at about the same height, to be fair, as these. And of course, Stranger Things is set in the 80s, and we know the lads like the Ghostbusters. So here we have Peter and Winston. Here we have Jazwares compared to Jada, and we've got a couple of Street Fighter figures. And like I mentioned, there has already been a Stranger Things and Turtles crossover in the comics and in a Playmates figure line, which I do have, but I've never opened them. So instead, here we have some NECA Turtles next to our Jazwares, Dustin and 11. And of course, we had to look at some Marvel Legends. So a couple of generic Legends here with Black Widow and the Renew Your Vows Spider-Man. And as you can see, they sort of do scale, as remember, these are teenagers. So when compared to like the Renew Your Vows book, they should be a little bit shorter. So when I said Marvel Legends style Stranger Things figures, I weren't too far off. Couple of other characters. We've got the Maximum Series Hulk just for a bigger scale. And then we have Doctor Doom. But again, the Demogorgon is just out of proportion, even with the Hulk here. Even on his stand, the Hulk is bigger. So yeah, I'd like the Demogorgon to probably be the same scale as Hulk. That would have worked out pretty well. But there you go. Then, of course, we couldn't get out of here without meeting the Who crew, can we? We've got Frogman, Tigra, Jeff, Captain Britain, and Hal, Fire, Hank. But before he plays that sax, I do want to see if the soft goods on 11 and Dustin will work on Marvel Legends. Let's give it a try. And you know what? Yes, absolutely they do. What Marvel Legends character wears a blue hoodie? Because that would absolutely work. Obviously, Tigra's hair runs down her back a little bit, but you can still get her wearing the backpack. Obviously, Hank's got the backpack on as well. So these are 1/12 scale accessories and soft goods that you can absolutely utilize across other lines. So like, where could we use that jacket in the Marvel Legends line, for example? But yeah, they look pretty sharp. Not bad at all. So, final thoughts on these Jazwares 6-inch Stranger Things action figures. Honestly, it's not what I hoped for. I love Stranger Things and I would have really appreciated like a premium collectible line with better likenesses, more accessories, even some interchangeable hands give so much more expression and posing options for a display. But I think you can only really pose these very generically, holding their accessories with their C-grips. And obviously the Demogorgon is very nice standalone, but when you pair him up with the kids, he seems a little bit underscaled. The likenesses are not great. They're a little bit flat. I appreciate the inclusion of soft goods and the articulation is there. It's just that the actual proportions of the bodies are a little bit off. But again, I'm trying to not be super hypercritical here. They're £20 action figures, a fun little toy line that you can definitely find some joy from for sure. So yeah, not what I wanted it to be, but you're damn right I'm going to buy the rest of the crew and Hopper and Max and more Demogorgons and Vecna. I'm going to get them all, honestly, because I just love creating those physical representations of the shows I love. And as I said, there hasn't been too much for Stranger Things. And this is the 6-inch scale. Like, this is my wheelhouse. I can put them on a miscellaneous shelf with some other crews and franchises, and yeah, just have fun with it, people. Don't overthink these ones, okay? So you let me know what you think in the comments below, like always. But if you like action figures, I suppose, then you're in the right place. Check out the videos tab, find the playlist, but most importantly, please hit that subscribe button, hit all in the notification bell, don't miss out on the video, and please hit that join button, become a channel member, either show some love or join the members club. Much appreciated. And if you like seeing me review more than just Marvel Legends, then make sure you engage in this video. Again, write in the comments, hit that like button, but you can follow me on Instagram at It's Dan Who. I'm on X at Dan Who Reviews, and I will of course see you on the next one.